please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Sarah, would you please take the roll?
Mercedes Evans.
Here.
Thomas Fink.
Here.
Michelle Forbes.
Here.
Jennifer Hoover.
Here.
Tim Jackson.
Here.
Luisa Lasova. Emily Smith is absent. Estelle Livelsberger.
Thank you. A quorum being present, we'll go ahead and proceed with business this evening, which brings us to our first period of public comment. If you do wish to offer public comment, please refer to our public comment guidance at the end of our agenda that provides expectations and how public comment should be offered. Please come to the podium, state your name and your address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Hearing none, we will go ahead to President's announcements. First of which is to announce that Borough Council met in executive session prior to this meeting. We held an informational session to gather information about police policies. And the other announcement, which I'm sure the mayor and our public safety chair will also mention, is that we are holding a community safety planning meeting next Tuesday as a follow-up to last month's meeting at 6:30 p.m. here at Prosser Hall. And the mayor and Tim can offer more information about that. Okay. Next, our manager's report. Sarah.
Thank you. Our Public Works Director, Lester Landman, was honored with the Ted Moses High Hat Award for his service to the Pennsylvania Water Environment Association. Lester currently serves as president of the statewide organization that focuses on the protection of water resources. So if you want to see his High Hat Award, Tammy is holding it in the office. Beth and I attended the Realtors Municipal Officials Breakfast a few weeks ago. We met with representatives from other municipalities and also with realtors. On June 24th, we had a shred day, which was sponsored by Penn Waste as part of our contract with them. We don't have data on what they collected, but we understand that there was a good turnout. We ended up not needing any volunteers, which was nice for our volunteers, and it was a very hot day, so I think we were all thankful for that, and thankful to Trinity Lutheran Church for allowing us to set up the event in their parking lot. I submitted an application to renew our status as a bike-friendly community. Communities are ranked through the League of American Bicyclists, and the team from Bike Camp Hill assisted me in completing our renewal application. The borough has been ranked as a bronze status community since at least 2017. I think that was the first time. Yesterday, I participated in a meeting at the county level regarding the 5-year update of the Cumberland County Hazard Mitigation Plan. The draft plan is now available on the county website, and this has to be updated every 5 years. And once the county adopts the plan, they will ask the municipalities to then follow and adopt the plan as well as our own. Municipalities with current hazard mitigation plans are generally eligible for state and federal financial assistance in disaster recovery. And a reminder that our 4th ever Stormfest will be held on July 23rd from 5:30 to 8 p.m. here at the Borough Building. We have almost 50 presenters that will be here to share their knowledge of clean water and environmental stewardship. We try to make stormwater fun, because isn't it anyway, by adding food trucks, live music, games, raffle baskets, and a succulent planting station to the event. We've got a lot of succulents in the office. You can also stop and see Tammy for that. Thanks to the generosity of our sponsors, 2 of whom are represented here this evening. We are especially excited about our new presenter this year, which is Forgotten Friends Reptile Sanctuary. So it will be the first time we've had live animals at Stormfest, and they will be very carefully handled by professionals, and we will just admire them. So we're looking forward to Stormfest. If anyone hasn't signed up to volunteer yet, let me know. Or if you have any other questions, please ask. Thanks.
Thank you, Sarah. Next, our mayor's report.
Okay, thank you. Police Department for the month of June handled 1,065 calls. We swore in our 4 police cadets. They started at the academy just this past Monday. I have not heard any kind of reports. I hope they're all 4 still there. I'm sure they're going to do great. And we're looking forward to them getting that done. As President Hoover mentioned, we have a meeting next Tuesday. We encourage all the public to attend at 6:30 here in Prosser Hall. It's going to a discussion of the recent thefts from vehicles. And it's going to be give an opportunity to discuss and between the residents and the police, and be a representative from the DA's office will be here as well. And that brings me to reminding everybody to lock your vehicles and don't keep any valuables in it. Believe me, it works. It's been a while since we've had a report of theft from a vehicle. It's been a few weeks, I believe. Fire department ran 23 calls in June. We spent 47 hours, and we are in the midst of engine company operations training. And I believe that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next, our engineers report.
Good evening, everyone. I have a couple transportation projects to go over with you from Mike's report this evening, the first being the 2025 curb ramps. So where we stand with that one is the low bidder for the project has been unable to furnish their pollution prevention insurance as required in the time frame by the contract, a 15-day period. As of today, we are currently on day 25. Unfortunately, at this point, we simply can't wait any longer to have the other bids that received as part of the project be valid. Those were valid for a period of 60 days, and unfortunately, by the August council meeting, that will have passed. So at this time, we were able to reach out to the second lowest bidder, which is H&P Construction, and they have indicated they are still willing to honor their bid price, and the only difference is they will need a time extension due to the delay that we've experienced at this point. So we also reached out to the grant agency providing the funding for the project, and based on the situation, they do feel that this is a reasonable ask and would be happy to grant us that extension if necessary to help smooth things over with this contractor and keep them in the loop. We provided a draft notice of intent to award, but the following actions that we will ask from Borough Council this evening would be first to rescind the bid award to Bilderman in the amount of $68,156.70 due to the inability to furnish the required insurance within the time frame specified in the contract. And then secondly, confirm the award of the contract to the second lowest bidder, H&P Construction, in the amount of $88,919. One thing I do want to point out is this, while higher amount, does still include all of the bid alternates for the project. So the only condition on that award would be the receipt of their bonds and insurance. So that would start then their 15-day period. Second project this evening is the intersection of Country Club Road and Russell Road, the stop sign study that was completed there. HRG, we did complete an analysis based on the available safe site stopping distances there at that intersection, and we did conclude that it is a good idea at this time to proceed with the three-way stop sign. One of those stop signs is going to be located in East Pennsboro Township, so therefore we do have to cooperate with them to get that implemented. So since the letter here, Mike let me know that the memo was provided here to the borough to ultimately help in the coordination with East Pennsboro and getting those stop signs installed. Lastly would be the Lenox Street pedestrian safety improvements. So as we all know, Camp Hill is a walking borough, and many people are traveling down Lenox Street to reach Eisenhower. However, there's no sidewalks there to provide for their safety. So we would like to try to avoid having to close the road every day. So recognizing this, there was discussion in the Public Works Committee that we would apply for Commonwealth Financing Authority Multimodal Transportation Fund grant, and they are currently accepting applications for that here through the end of the month. The ultimate request would be funding to build new sidewalk along the northern side of Lenox Street, and it would connect down at the Harrisburg Bridge Club and run up to North 19th Street, and then at that point we would propose one crossing to get to the other side of 19th Street where there is currently sidewalk and connect into the rest of the network of the borough. So at this point, we would also request action by council this evening to pass a resolution to apply for the CFA MTF grant in the amount of $370,000 to fund the construction of the Eisenhower Elementary Lenox Street Pedestrian Safety Improvements Project, and to authorize borough manager to execute documents associated with this grant. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That brings us to our consent agenda. Is there a motion and a second to consider the consent agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
Mercedes moves. Michelle seconds. All in favor? Any opposed? The motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented is adopted. That brings us to our reports of committees and liaisons, beginning with Mr. Jackson from the Public Safety Committee.
Thank you. The Public Safety Committee met on Thursday, June 26th. A few items of note were covered during that time. First was just covered in the engineer's report regarding the stop sign, where the next step is for HRG to produce that memo to help us with conversations with East Pennsboro administration and hopefully get their approval, and then ultimately for them to pass an ordinance to move ahead with that stop sign. We also talked about the installation and continued conversations around speed humps in the area. East Pennsboro is not agreeing to for speed humps to be placed along that route, which would avoid us from taking any further action there. So looking at other options, the stop signs being one, but East Pennsboro's perspective is that placing speed humps in that area would impact emergency vehicles as well as snow plows. Also discussed was a concern from residents around the traffic lights along Trindle and East Cumberland Boulevard. Those issues have been rectified with no further issues noted in several weeks. We also talked a little bit about the break-ins, and as the mayor mentioned, there's an upcoming meeting next week, Tuesday at 6:30 in this very room. Encourage everybody to attend who's able. And as part of that, we'll also be talking about some options that Councilwoman Evans brought up in terms of a neighborhood watch option, and revisiting that and asking for residents to participate in what could be part of that program. And then lastly, a piece that we will be taking up at the next Borough Council meeting is an update to the Camp Hill Police Department Policy Handbook, expected to be taken up for consideration August meeting. That is my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Tim? Okay, moving on to Public Works.
Okay. Public Works met on July 1st.
and we have a number of action items. So first of all, we advertised a case wheel loader on Municipid, and we got a bid for $66,200. So we recommend that council approve that sale. That's excellent value we're getting for it. And then, as mentioned under the engineer's report, we need to rescind, for the curb ramp project, we need to rescind the award to Builderman and then award the project to the next lowest bidder, H&P Construction. So that's two separate action items. And also, as mentioned, we would like to apply for a grant for the Eisenhower Lennox Street pedestrian safety project. And in other business, we discussed, we were talking about priorities for various engineering projects. The Harvard Avenue on-street parking analysis is shelved for the time being. Issues regarding Cumberland Boulevard, we are focusing on the Brentwater pedestrian crossing and adjacent streets and sidewalks, for which we have a grant submitted, and we are waiting to hear whether we get funding or not, which we will hear at some point in the fall, hopefully. And so while we are waiting for that, we also talked about the possible Lincoln Logan pedestrian crossing, but that is currently on the back burner because the Brentwater project has priority. So we are probably, okay, so for Country Club, the Country Club Road speeding issue, we are probably not going ahead with the speed humps, but we talked about painting of fog lines. So fog lines are lines on the side of the road that are just painted white paint, but they make the road appear narrower, and so they are a traffic calming or traffic slowing device. And they're not very expensive, but we still need to wait to see whether we do have the money to paint them. And it will probably be most prudent if we budget the painting of fog lines for the 2026 budget. We will be going ahead with the stop sign at Country Club Road and Russell Road. And then there was a discussion about trucks driving illegally on 17th Street and other small streets in the borough. We already have a section of the borough code that prohibits the driving of trucks on 17th Street and many other streets, but of course out-of-town truck drivers are not aware of that. And so we discussed if we could put up signage, but it's turned out to be really complicated. So for right now, we are aware of the problem, but we don't really have a quick solution. Survey of Seabird Park is almost complete. We're still waiting for clarification regarding a small section of unclaimed land, so that's with legal. So flood mitigation for Braemar Street and Harvard Avenue, that was discussed at length at the Stormwater Authority meeting, so I will report on it with that report. And sewer lining project is proceeding on schedule. Compost grinding and disposal is also proceeding, and it appears that the current company that we are working with is reasonable in cost. Nevertheless, we are monitoring our spending and how much we are grinding, and we are planning to change the way that we bill commercial users in the future, and we will probably start billing them by the load. So we are collecting data to figure out what would be an appropriate charge. Creek Road Pump Station continues on schedule. We need to survey the property at Coronado Gwinnett Drive that was recently found to be ours to know exactly what we need to maintain. That's pretty much it, yeah. Long meeting, long report, lots of detail.
Any questions for Louisa?
Yeah, question. Do we have an estimate on the fog lines?
Lester was going to get an estimate, so not yet.
Yeah, I think we should keep that on the agenda. I hear the concern about the budgetary impact from a public safety standpoint, and we've heard it here. That's a major issue. And with the unexpected setback from East Pennsboro regarding the speed humps, and now we hope and are optimistic around the stop signs. This was really supposed to be the initial first go at helping that traffic issue. So I'd really like to see if we can get that done like in 2025.
So we're
And I'm looking at
definitely-
Lester, but I'm really like, it's a general comment question.
Yeah, we're definitely doing it. We don't know when. I think the issue was that we spent a lot of funds already on fixing the traffic lights on Cumberland Boulevard and Market and Chestnut. So that is what's eating up a lot of the budget. But definitely, the fog lines are high priority and will be done.
Anyone else? Okay, moving on to community and business relations.
So we met on June 17th, and we discussed the communication plan to clarify how council does things, including the Sunshine Law, and that much of the work takes place in committee, and that public, what am I saying here? But that's where the public would come and comment, and then we could have discussions about solving issues. And the chair of the committee can also be emailed if a person can't attend the committee meetings that we have, because they're usually during work times. But keep watching for Beth Taylor to post information on social media about how council works and why we do the things that we do in the order that we do them. We also have been working on becoming part of Sustainable PA. Since being recognized by the DCED, which is the Department of Community and Economic Development in 2016, 135 municipalities have earned status in the program, which ranges from bronze to platinum. So when a municipality requests funding from the DCED, they are asked to indicate what level they're at. So in order to reach bronze status, the borough needs to pass a resolution to affirm its commitment to participate in the Sustainable Community Certification Program of the Pennsylvania Municipal League. And our committee is in favor of passing this. Our next meeting is going to be this Tuesday, July 15th at 4, so you can come to our meeting and then stay for the mayor's meeting and have an afternoon of it. Thanks.
Thank you, Michelle. Any questions? Okay. Are you offering Parks and Recreation?
Yes, I'm
Go ahead.
also Parks and Recreation today. So if you thought you missed out, you may be in luck. Some of the July and August camps still have space. Information and registration are on the website. Box lunch reviews are going well. There are 3 more that you can attend, July 11th and 25th, and the last one is on August 8th. So come to Willow Park on those Fridays from 11:30 to 1 to hear some great music. You can either purchase lunch or bring your own. And in case you thought Audrey wasn't busy enough, the Halloween parade is scheduled for October 27th with a rain date of the 28th. So trick or treat is going to be on Thursday, October 30th from 6 to 8 p.m. But since it's still summer, the pool and the snack shack are open daily from 12 until 8, weather permitting. And the next Park and Recreation meeting is at 4 o'clock on Tuesday, July 22nd, the day before Stormfest. That's it for that, too.
Thank you, Michelle. Any questions? No?
Please don't.
Moving on to planning and zoning.
Yes, you'll note in your packet that Colton has provided a monthly report on code enforcement. In June, he responded to 126 calls and complaints, sent 219 emails, and did 3 residential unit inspections, and issued 44 building, zoning, dumpster, stormwater, sign, and shade tree permits. He did, I think, 17 shade tree permits, which may be a record. But anyway, busy month. The Planning and Zoning Committee met May 16th. We reviewed a resolution prepared by Lee with some very good input from the Borough Council chemist, sitting two seats away from me, concerning the use of high-level PAC treatments. PAHs, yeah. Polycyclic, yeah, PAHs. They're highly toxic. They're shown to cause cancer. They affect eyes, kidneys, livers. And sealants high in PAHs have been banned in many cities from Austin, Texas to Washington, D.C., and we think we should do the same. We can't pass a code because the state controls chemicals, but what we want to do is pass a resolution encouraging people, contractors, et cetera, not to use these substances, and that resolution is being supported by the committee, and it's in your packet. So we'll vote for that, about that later on. We continued working on the process of updating our borough code. As previously noted, the first phase has been completed, and we're now doing the hard work of looking at individual codes that need updated and revised, et cetera. We're in the process of prioritizing that, and we'll certainly have more to say about that in the future. We looked at the special events ordinance again, for which we need some fees, which we want to be minimal for residents, but we bumped that issue to 2026 when the borough will look at general fee structure overall, and then we'll figure out what fees will be attached. We looked at a sample traffic calming ordinance suggested for consideration by our borough council president that would provide a way, if we adopted something like this, for residents to request some traffic calming measures. We looked at a sample, and Lee's going to get his hands on another sample from Chambersburg. I've talked already to public safety informally about this. We'll be looking at this over the next couple of months. There are some pros and cons, but we're going to give it a hard look and see where we end up on that. From a code perspective, Louise also commented on that problem with traffic on 17th Street. There is a code forbidding it, tractor trailer traffic on most of the residential streets, and the issue is where do you put up signs, how many signs do you have to put up? So it's a problem, and what we encourage is for residents who see tractor trailers on these side streets to get a license and report it to the police. Colton had a long report. I mentioned the shade tree record. The land development project at 21st and South 19th Street has asked appropriately for a reduction in their financial security in the amount of $210,500. The committee is recommending council approve this request. Colton also noted that the owner of the former Rite Aid building has applied for a zoning permit for 4 to 6 shopping units. And if you look around, you see that advertised now. Sidewalk repair notices for areas in the paving areas that have been completed have been sent for projected completion by August or September of this year. We discussed the enforcement of rules about RV storages on borough streets and driveways. We put that on hold. One of our members has some ideas about ways to alter the code to make that more reasonable. Colton also briefly discussed issues associated with sidewalk cafes, which will be addressed in our code review process. And finally, as a final action item for planning and zoning, the committee is recommending approval of a stormwater operations and maintenance agreement for 915 Country Club Road. Any questions from anyone? Yes.
This is not a question, it's a statement. So the resolution 2025-11 was revised at the last minute again because I was giving Lee a really hard time. I apologize. So the final title does not have the words "and other chemicals." So just if we can not have those words in the minutes, that would be helpful.
And I would comment, Louisa did give Lee a hard time, but it was well appreciated. And I think the final product is what we got,
Yes,
which is
yes.
a very good one. Okay, the next meeting of Planning and Zoning is scheduled for Thursday, July 30th. Is it Thursday, the 30th? Oh, is it Wednesday? Okay. Wednesday, yeah, see if I show up at 8:15. We've been through changes because of vacations and so on, but Wednesday, July 30th.
I have a question about
Yes.
the event permit.
Yes.
If
Special
there's no
events permit.
fee for that, are we still requiring the permit for events, or are we just waiting?
Yeah, we
We
want
still
to know
require
what's,
the permit, but
we want to
it's
know what's going on.
no fee attached. Okay.
So it's, right, so-
Yeah, when we do, right,
But
okay.
it's
I just wanted to
informational.
see how it was
Yeah.
going.
Now, larger events that require police involvement, et cetera, we'll have to look at that and see what we want to charge for that.
Okay,
But we'll look at that in 2026.
right.
Okay?
Okay, thanks.
Okay, that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, and I just want to express, I had brought up the sealants issue up in Public Works, and we had discussion and Planning and Zoning took it up, so I appreciate your attention to that, and legislation did pass the House recently, but whether or not that advances in the Senate is to be seen. So, but again, thank you. Moving on to Administration and Finance.
Okay, we held our last meeting on June 30th, and it was the first meeting with our new finance director, Natalie. Yay, we're all very excited. Thank you for being here. We're still working on finding a new IT provider for the borough, so that's moving along. No. We have one. It's just the service is subpar. So it's just, there's a lot of requirements to support a municipality, especially since the police department's, their IT system is embedded. There's just a lot of requirements that they have to have. All right, we have 3 action items. One is consider a settlement agreement with Kona and Bell Hill Holdings, LLC, to settle sewer relating to 259 North 21st Street. Another one is consider an access agreement with Thomas and Tina Welch of 2924 Beverly Road to make repairs to their property due to storm damage by a borough-owned tree. And consider appointing Jennifer Hoover to the role of legislative liaison to the Pennsylvania Municipal League. Our next meeting is on Monday, July 28th at 4:30. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mercedes. And that brings us to our reports from liaisons. Tim?
Thank you. The school board borough joint meeting did not occur this past month. The next meeting is on September 24th at 6 p.m. in the borough, in the district administration building. Thanks.
Thank you, Tim. Next, we'll turn to Estelle for the junior council member report.
So typical school-related updates are kind of sparse because it's in the middle of summer, but AP scores came out nationally on the 7th of this month, and both SAT Review Camp and Algebra Review Camp are taking place on August 4th through 7th. For sports, the required two-a-day training preseason starts around August 11th for most JV and varsity sports. And for those who love watching the high school football, the first look at the 2025 teams is a 7v7 game on the 10th, so tomorrow at 4:30 at Siebert. And middle school softball and baseball, their summer season and league just ended. Along with that, high school soccer, both boys and girls have been going pretty hard, and the coaches have been offering training every morning through the entire summer, and their first game is on August 19th. And then the field hockey team has their first preseason game on August 25th, and they also have a special clinic on the last week of July where the Millersburg University coaches are coming to Camp Hill to train the team. And then that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Estelle. Moving on to the Stormwater Authority. Louisa?
The Stormwater Authority met yesterday, and we had a long discussion about possible future projects and how we would pay for them. So we have compiled a list of projects that rank from must-do to should-do to nice-to-do. And then we decided that we are probably not going to do the nice-to-do projects, but just the must-do and should-do projects. The estimated cost, and this is a very rough estimate, would be in the ballpark of $15 million over 5 years, which translates to about $3 million per year. Our Stormwater Authority revenue is about less than $500,000 a year, so there is a gap. How are we going to bridge that gap? We also need to keep a reserve fund for emergencies. We try to apply for grants, but the grant situation is really difficult. For example, the FEMA grant that we tried to apply for was cut. The program doesn't exist anymore. So we are also reluctant to borrow money with current interest rates, and we also still have a loan that we're paying off. So we will probably have to raise the stormwater fee somehow. We will have extensive discussions on how and when and how much we are going to raise the stormwater fee, but it's something that will probably happen. Then we had a discussion about specific projects. So the biggest and most pressing projects, there are two of them, and one would be to improve failing infrastructure along Chestnut Street, and the other one is a storm drainage issue in the Harvard Avenue and Bramer Road area, which is basically drainage for Harvard Run. And there's various options to tackle that, none of them cheap. And a possibility would be to look for upstream storage. We would need easements from commercial property owners for that. So we talked about maybe starting the discussion with those property owners. So everything is long-term, difficult, expensive. we're not quite sure which of these two projects should have priority. Does it matter? What would be the consequences of inaction for either project? So we will keep discussing, and we will keep informing you where we are. Questions?
Thank you, Louisa. No, I've said this in Public Works in regards to their Harvard run. One observation, I think the Stormwater Authority minutes refer to as the Harvard Run watershed, whereas in Public Works, we often refer to it as the Braemar Culvert Run. I think we're talking about the same thing, right? And I'm just wondering, for consistency's sake and for concerned residents, that we try and refer to it as the same thing, just so they can keep track of the dialogue, I think.
So I think at the Stormwater Authority meeting, Mike pointed out that the most precise name would be Harvard Run Drainage.
Harvard Run Drainage, yeah. And again, just as somebody who resides in that one particular area, on behalf of my neighboring concerned residents who have felt that the issue has been neglected and not discussed by council in previous administrations.
So we are talking about
for whatever reason, that we are talking about it, that we will continue to talk about it. And I think all that we read and unfortunately see about torrential downpours and massive flooding and all of that is just very concerning, and certainly a consequence of inaction if we were to not do anything. Realizing there are budget constraints and funding constraints, obviously, but a concern.
So Braemar Culvert is,
Harvard Run Drainage.
okay, I didn't realize they were even the same thing.
Yeah.
And just for the record, my observation is that it's very much prioritized. People want to do something. We just don't have the money right now.
Yeah. So hopefully we can find a way.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on then to the Sustainability Committee.
Okay, the Sustainability Committee met June 12th. As always is the case, we talked about goals and accomplishments using a worksheet. And in particular, we've been interested in energy usage data so we can measure the success of energy conservation efforts. And we've gotten some information from PPL that we have to kind of go through and figure out. I was going to report yesterday that we had not heard from UGI yet. But since then, we got a very curious letter from them, semi-paranoid about what do you, kind of in a nice way saying, why are you asking for this data? How are we obligated to respond? What are you going to use the data for? We want to protect people's privacy. And then they laid out what we'd have to do to go to, to get the data. And I don't know what we're going to do about all of that, but it's kind of I think they're afraid that there's some attempt to point a finger at them about using fossil fuels, or I don't know what's behind all of this. But we'll discuss that at the next meeting. Tomorrow, yeah. Yeah. Number 2, Steve Naub, who's a relatively recent member of the committee and engineer, is working with Sarah to develop RFPs for the solar installation and window replacement for the borough building. The project's proceeding. We do have the funding, as we talked about, from the Moore grant, but maybe Audrey needs to keep her sweaters, because I don't know if windows will be replaced before winter. It's, we're in July already, but it is going to happen. As Sarah has pointed out a number of times, we're the first municipality to get the Moore grant. That's good and bad, because, no guidelines about how to proceed. We already mentioned that we had another successful shredding day. We continue to work with the Sustainable PA program, and we hope to achieve bronze status in the future. If we don't, do we have it now? Okay, good.
As soon as we pass this.
Okay, all right, great. And we are also working with the Charging Smart program, a partner program to Soul Smart, concerning ways to increase EV charging accessibilities for residents of the borough. The committee is working on their own display for Stormfest, and make sure you visit the sustainability table at the event. The next meeting of Sustainability Committee is tomorrow at 1 p.m. And that's my report.
Thank you. And we turn to Michelle for the 4 following reports: the Downtown Camp Hill Association, the Frederickson Library Board, the Capital Region Council of Governments, and Burrtown, PA. You're very busy.
I know, and I get all the fun things, so I'm really sorry. I appreciate you guys doing all the hard work. So, DCHA, details for the DCHA can be found at downtowncamphhill.com/events. You guys ready? The farmers market has food trucks. So, beginning yesterday, in case you didn't make it with the weather, but it was still there and still going well. And I saw videos of people dancing along with the band. It looks like really fun. Anyway, the market is having different food trucks every Tuesday, so you can eat while you shop. And every second Tuesday, there's going to be live music. Every week, the farmers market has been improving, so don't miss out. They're doing all kinds of fun things along with the vendors that are there. The next DCHA event is the Harvest Hop on October 18th. I can't believe we're talking October already, from 10 until 3 p.m. And our downtown coordinator has been sharing information on social media that you want to hear about. So if you aren't already, follow the DCHA and Camp Hill Borough. It's all information that you care about. Frederickson Library is still having the reading program and Go Cumberland Challenge. It continues until August 15th. And Friends of Frederickson are accepting donations for the book and media sale on the first Saturday of the month from 1 to 3 p.m. Your support is appreciated. CapCog, I don't know where they've gone, but there is no meeting again. I believe it would be July, and then we'll skip August, and then we'll golf on September. It's so tough to be me. Birdtown, we met yesterday. Birdtown is hosting the rain barrel painting for the auction at Stormfest on the 23rd from 5:30 to 8. And they will also have a booth with information. Do I say they or do I say we? Doesn't matter? Can I say we? Can I say we? Okay. Birdtown is learning if there's a way to encourage birds of prey in the area around the community gardens to help control the uninvited guests. Is that a nice way to say that?
He maybe say it again. He might not have heard it.
Which one?
Lester looks very interested.
Lester? Lester? Okay. And Lester, we're looking over there at the trees in the compost area to see how high we can build something to make it a perch, maybe some nesting if we could, anyway. Anyway, also in the works, this is just such a fun committee. Also in the works is a collaboration with Cornerstone to promote a bird-friendly coffee. This coffee is not for birds, although we wouldn't stop them from drinking it, but it's harvested to be friendly to birds. So the whole process is bird happy. Watch for the Bird of the Month on Facebook and see if you've seen them in your travels, and most likely you've heard. Should we say who the Bird of the Month is? Do we keep it a secret? I would. You have to check on Facebook. You have to. I can't tell you. I can't tell you. I want to play like the little bird sound and make everybody guess him, but I won't. But it's the Eastern Wood Peewee, which you hear more than you see, because he's a little tiny guy with slick back hair, but it kind of stands up. Anyway. The next article in the quarterly newsletter will have a survey that we hope everyone will take. The survey will also be available at Stormfest. We'll have a QR code. And we have officially set the date for a bird walk with Andrew Dapkins. He's Bird Guide Tours. It's going to be on September 14th at Seaver Park. Stay tuned for more details and registration information for this free and fun event. That's it for Bird.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, any questions? Nothing.
Very informative. That brings us to our next customary period of public comment, though not included on the agenda, but we certainly welcome your input. So again, if there's anybody wishing to offer public comment, please come to the microphone. Seeing none, hearing none, we'll move on to our action items for this evening, beginning with item 10A. Is there a motion and a second to approve the sale of a case wheel loader on Municipid in the amount of $66,200? Louisa moves, Michelle seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, is there a motion and a second to rescind the award of the 2025 curb ramp project bid to Builder Men in the amount of $68,156.70 because they have not furnished the required insurance within the time frame specified in the contract? Louisa moves, Tom seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion and a second to award the ADA ramp project contract to the second lowest bidder, H&P Construction Incorporated, in the amount of $88,919, which includes all bid alternates, conditioned upon receipt of bonds and insurance? Louisa moves, Michelle seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2025-09 to apply for the CFA MTF grant in the amount of $370,000 to fund construction of the Eisenhower Elementary / Lennox Street pedestrian safety improvements project and to authorize the borough manager to execute documents associated with the grant? Louisa moves, Mercedes seconds. Any discussion?
Just to say that's a terrific project. I hope we get the grant.
Yeah. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, is there a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2025-10 to participate in the Sustainable Community Essentials Certification Program of the Pennsylvania Municipal League? Michelle and who's? Michelle moves, Lisa seconds. Is there any discussion?
Just a call out, with the PML, they offer a lot of different opportunities for public officials, and I just encourage us to have a representative at a future council meeting to come and sort of describe what they do, how they're involved, and how we can become involved.
Thank you for that suggestion. I would only suggest that if we do that, we extend the same offer to like the Boroughs Association and others potentially as well. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, is there a motion and a second to approve a stormwater operations and maintenance agreement for 915 Country Club Road?
So moved.
Tom moves, Michelle seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, is there a motion and a second to authorize a reduction in the financial security for the land development project at 21 South 19th Street in the amount of $210,500? Tom moves, Michelle seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next, is there a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2025-11 recommending that the use and application of certain sealants containing polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons be avoided for the purpose of sealing driveways, parking lots, and other paved areas?
So moved.
Tom moves, Mercedes seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion and a second to approve a settlement agreement with Kona and Bell Hill Holdings LLC to settle sewer fees relating to 259 North 21st Street? Mercedes moves, Michelle seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion and a second to approve an access agreement with Thomas and Tina Welch of 2924 Beverly Road to make repairs to their property due to storm damage by a borough-owned tree? Mercedes moves, Michelle seconds. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. And last action item for the evening, is there a motion and a second to appoint Jennifer Hoover to the role of legislative liaison for the Pennsylvania Municipal League?
Second.
Mercedes moves, Michelle seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. That brings us to our very last period of public comment. Please rush to the microphone and offer your comment this evening.
That was not the P word.
I think there should be more birds on the Bird Town Committee.
Okay.
That brings us,
Do that?
sure, brings us to our final period of closing remarks by council. Are there any closing remarks?
I would just like to remind everyone that on Tuesday the 15th, we're all meeting here, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, what time we meeting? 6:30. And the 23rd, where's everybody going to be? Stormfest. All right, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you to those viewing online and those of you in the audience, including, I think, 2 prospective council candidates. So thank you for your attendance and attention. Any other business? No. Seeing no other business, meeting stands adjourned.